our problems are not insurmountable. Nigerian problems are not impossible to solve. From the day you have a serious-minded president, a competent and capacitated leader who is sincere with a vision, and a functioning National Assembly that is not a rubber stamp, from day one you begin to see changes. But because we have allowed the entire process to be criminalized, we have become the victims of our own inactions. So that is why we are saying, on this particular God-given mandate, not only did we win these primaries, by God's grace and the help of the people and the support, we will win the elections. And do not forget, I'm not just Peter for Goja, Peter for Yalam, Peter for Nigeria. I'm also Peter for Peter. There is a senior Peter running for president. My principal, yes, our papa, Peter Obi, who has a vision for this country and whom we must all also align with to ensure we rescue Nigeria and be okay. Nigeria needs a hard reset. And every person that is in Nigeria today must be concerned about the direction we are headed. If you look at the government we have today, it did not take TINUBU up to 3 years to destroy the entire country, tank the economy, make us the headquarters of poverty, increase insecurity. But somehow, for you to find the achievements of TINUBU, you will be told to go and Google, to check ChatGPT. This is the only government where to get achievements, you have to ask Google. People are dying, they say we are making strides. People are hungry, they say we are making bold reforms. People are in captivity, kidnappers are running everywhere, they say there is no electronic technology to transmit results. So if we want to get ourselves together as a country, we must begin from the foundation of it. The absolute problem with Nigeria is an outright lack of accountability. People can do anything and go away with it, and there are no consequences. That is why that issue of electoral reform, we must take elections to national crisis. Elections in Nigeria must be free and fair. If Nigerians want to vote a squirrel, let it be the will of the people. If they decide to change to a kangaroo, let them do so. What we must not accept is mischief. Nigerians must get up from that situation where they say the votes, they go rig them, the votes no go count, to the vote must count. How many people they make votes no count? How many people's votes are being rigged? So is it that we have become accomplices to our own slavery? So that is why anybody that has opportunity, we must ensure that first of all, the confidence of corrupt politicians is a rigged electoral process, because they know we can buy INEC, buy judiciary, buy police and all of that. You understand? So once you are able to make elections free and fair, there's no country in the world where votes of the people count, where leaders act as irresponsibly and as reckless as Nigerian leaders. The confidence is because they have the corrupt electoral process. We must fix that. We must unite the country. And do not forget, I'm not just Peter for Goja, Peter for Yalam, Peter for Nigeria. I'm also Peter for Peter. There is a senior Peter running for president. My principal, yes, our papa, Peter Obi, who has a vision for this country and whom we must all also align with to ensure we rescue Nigeria and be okay. That we have the privilege that I am the candidate for Goja Yala Federal Constituency. So this is the time to begin to put in the work. Campaigns will begin officially by 19th of August. And as they say, they know they win on social media. Because you have maybe 100,000 followers on Facebook or this thing does not mean you win a polling unit. We have to put in the work. But to address, to also talk about all this, the primary, somebody, had come out to say that the winner, from the onset, I won my primaries. I participated in my primaries. I won my primaries. But I did not come out to do any self-declaration because it was against the party's instructions. There were instructions to the conduct of that primaries. So, of course, some persons that, maybe sponsored by other interests came up to do self-declaration, persons that did not even participate on ground in the process. But of course, that is all in the past now. The fact is not also lost on me as to the quality or the substance of what is going on here. People like us who have spent time doing what we do, you can become you can be called a candidate of particular concern. In fact, even the form that was pasted in the local government as for me as my candidate, I saw it first on social media. So somebody had already seen it somewhere and then took a picture of it to show you the interest. Because you can imagine, for you to, few months ago, we were in front of the National Assembly protesting for certain reforms. And few months later, you have an opportunity that you are contesting to go into that parliament, to begin to advocate and take advocacy into parliament. So it is a privilege from God that nobody should abuse. And so what I'm saying in earnest is that As a person, I'm not just contesting to be, say, a local champion for Ugoja Yala. I'm running to be a voice for all Nigerians through the good and phenomenal people of Ugoja Yala Federal Constituency. I don't believe that the problems of Ugoja Yala will be solved in isolation from the problems of people in Bokos and Mango or Barkin Ladi or Southern Kaduna or Agatu or Tukpo or Saibama or Ajashepo. I believe that it's a Nigerian problem, and we cannot allow parliament to be a den of unarmed robbers. You cannot allow the National Assembly to become a rubber stamp for the executive arm of government. Nigerians will continue to say, oh, maybe our problems are not insurmountable. Nigerian problems are not impossible to solve. From the day you have a serious-minded president, a competent and capacitated leader who is sincere with a vision, and a functioning National Assembly that is not a rubber stamp, from day one you begin to see changes. But because we have allowed the entire process to be criminalized, we have become the victims of our own inactions. So that is why we are saying, on this particular God-given mandate, not only will we win, did we win these primaries, by God's grace and the help of the people and the support, we will win the elections. Take the asylum. When you, as a people, as a country, what bad leaders will do is they will continue to test your ability to take dysfunctionality and bad governance. Once you show them that you can absorb this, it will upscale. So the tragedy with Nigeria is there is no worst case scenario. Because things are this bad does not mean it will not get worse. Look at Oshun, for example. An EFCC cannot wake up one morning and decide to freeze the account of a state government few days to an election in the guise of so-called investigation. Meanwhile, there was an election in Ekiti State a few weeks or a few months ago, and there was no investigation there. There are more than 30 APC states, including Lagos. In fact, if EFCC is investigating movement of funds in Lagos State account alone, they may not have the opportunity or time to investigate others. And what EFCC has done is not just bad, even when with the statement of the president, it is an attempt to undermine an electoral process. If elections in Oshun are rigged, it will be partly because of the actions of this institution. We must reject institutional election rigging, where institutions of government have become law enforcement agencies, see themselves as personal police of the president. So what will happen in Oshun will be a litmus test for 2027. If you allow irregularity, criminality to stand, Nigerians must come out and vote. We must defend our vote. All of us must not be members of the same party. There was a ruling party before APC came into power. Now that you came, it is like poor man will become rich. As he come in force policy, and say make they kill all the poor people. Now where you were opposition, you become ruling party. You say entire opposition should die. Tinubu must know that we will never be a one-party state. In 2027, he will conduct elections that will send him out of Asoro.
Right. So
Okay. No, I want to, how many minutes has this thing been?
Just the last part.
let me check.
So that if you want to, if you have, it is simple. Even let us not even go too far. From the INEC list and documents that were published, do you know the primary school of your president, in the current president of Nigeria? Do you know his secondary school? No, it's a question that all of us should ask. Did you see the document that was submitted for Peter Obi? Did you see his qualifications? So you have a mysterious personality as a leader, and you are talking about Olodo uprising. So this can be Olodo uprising, executive arm of it. So where you have leadership, and that is why today we have more than 18 million out of school children, because when you have leaders who do not go to school, who do not even know, who can forge, drop one certificate later, retract it later, how do you pay attention to education? And without education, how do you build a future? 18 million children out of school. So Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso present not just a ticket of competence, but an opportunity for Nigeria to begin the healing and stop the bleeding. Two men who are competent in their own rights. Look at their records in Anambra and in Kano State. Look at what they were able to achieve. Look at what it takes for you to be able to be financially prudent. One of the major problems of Nigeria today is not a lack of resources. It is a criminality problem. People are stealing money. How many years did it take Tinubu to buy a jet? How many years did it take him to build a solar farm, disconnect himself from the villa, and then put all of us in band A to Z? That is where we are today. So we buy a jet to fly failure around the world. So when you look at the pedigree of the person called Peter Obi, the fact that the person is running today, for years, everybody has tried, and not one iota of irregularity. The governors who took over from him do not support him, yet nobody has one grafts issue against him. A man who can stand and tell you that I rejected pension and the Anambra State as a government has done nothing for me since I left office. Do you know the TINUBU pension scheme in Lagos State that he forced the National Assembly to approve for him? Have we gone to check this? Nigeria does not have a revenue problem. We have a criminality problem. That is what Peter Obi is coming to address. That is what the Obi Kwankwaso ticket will unite Nigerians. Let this country feel the semblance of having human beings as leaders and not this line of rascality we call leadership or governance in this country. We say enough in 2027.